Welcome to So True, and today's devotional is entitled In Two Places at Once. And I want to root that thought in a biblical text, Colossians 1, verses 1 to 2. Let me read what the Apostle Paul says to the church at Colossae. Paul, an apostle of Jesus Christ by the will of God, and Timothy, our brother, to the saints and faithful brethren in Christ who are also in Colossae. They say that you cannot be in two places at once, but that's not strictly true when it comes to the Christian. A look at Paul's introduction in his letter to the Colossians points to the fact that every church and every Christian has two homes and two habitations. The Colossians were said to be in Christ, and they were also said to be in Colossae. The idea of two homes is to be found in other texts in the New Testament. Ephesians 1 verse 1 and Philippians 1 verse 1, where it says that the saints in Christ are also in Ephesus and the saints in Christ are also in Philippi. The great truth that comes out of these verses is that the Christian lives in Christ while simultaneously living in the world. Just as branches are in the vine and just as limbs are in the body, Paul sees us as being in Christ, rooted in Christ, united to Christ. The thought of the vine is found in John 15, verses 1 to 8, and the thought of the limb is found in 1 Corinthians 12 to 31. The Christian life, therefore, is a common life in Christ. Colossae, the city of Colossae, was the sphere in which the saints lived and went about their business, but Christ was the source of their living, the purpose and the power behind their life. They lived from the inside out. The who on the inside, namely Christ, and not the what on the outside, namely circumstances, determined the quality, momentum, and focus of their lives. For them to live was Christ, and the life they lived was lived by faith in the Son of God. You'll find those thoughts rooted in Philippians 1:21 and Galatians 2:20. At this point, perhaps an illustration will help make the point. Many of us have flown internationally and spent a night 35,000 feet in the air. That was our physical location. But thankfully, whilst we were 35,000 feet in the air, we were also inside an aircraft. It was only because we were inside that pressurized tube that we could exist in the air. The airplane was the more significant reality to us, enabling us to get off the ground, stay in the air, free from the debilitating effects of the outside temperature and pressure. We were in the air, but safely in the aircraft. And that's an analogy for what we're talking about. Christ should be the sphere in which we live, wherever we live and whatever we do. To be in Christ is to be in a living and lasting relationship with Him. To have our daily lives shaped and sustained by His life. We can do all things through Him and in Him and because of Him. Philippians 4, verse 13. He's the well from which we draw all that is necessary for life and godliness. The Christian lives in two places at once. To repeat myself again, first there is their physical location, but second there is their spiritual location. Think about the language of Ephesians 1, 3 to 6, where Paul talks about us being seated with Christ in the heavenly places. That's our spiritual position. Therefore, the weak Christian finds their rest in Christ. The persecuted Christian finds their security in Christ. The baffled Christian finds their clarity in Christ. The anxious Christian finds their peace in Christ. The Christian must remember who they are in Christ, regardless of wherever they are or whatever they are facing. I read that during an interview with a group of astronauts, the crew was asked this question: what do you think is the single most important key to successful space travel? One of the astronauts offered the following response, and I love it. The secret to traveling in space is to take your own atmosphere with you. I love that thought, and I want to connect it to the thought we've been meditating on and wrap this up. Living in Christ must be the Christian's atmosphere. And as you and I live for him and lean on him, we can take that atmosphere into the most foul circumstances in life. God bless you, and I hope that this So True devotional is a blessing to you.